Detective Silas Blackwood, a man weathered by shadows and secrets, possessed a gift, or perhaps a curse, that allowed him to speak with the departed. In the grimy, gaslit alleys of Oakhaven, his ability was a necessary evil, a tool to pry truth from reluctant souls trapped between worlds. But Oakhaven was behind him now, replaced by the surreal majesty of Arborea, a city nestled within the colossal boughs of the Greatwood, a tree whose age dwarfed empires. Silas had arrived in Arborea at the behest of Elder Rowan, the city's stoic leader, summoned to investigate a series of unsettling disappearances. They distrusted outsiders, and Silas, with his grim demeanor and uncanny talent, was met with suspicion at every turn. The Greatwood itself was a marvel. Sunlight filtered through the dense canopy, painting dappled patterns on the wooden streets that snaked between gigantic branches. Houses were carved directly into the tree's flesh, adorned with intricate carvings of leaves and mythical creatures. The air hummed with the life force of the ancient tree, a constant, palpable energy that both invigorated and unnerved Silas. He interviewed grieving families, questioned suspicious merchants, and consulted with the Arborean mystics who communed with the tree's consciousness. But the disappearances remained a perplexing enigma. One evening, as Silas was reviewing his notes in his cramped, rented room, he felt a chilling presence. He turned to see a spectral figure shimmering in the dim light. It was Alara, a young Arborean woman who had vanished a week prior. Her voice was a mere whisper, laced with fear. "Silas, they framed you for Elder Rowan's death." ... Before Silas could question her further, the apparition flickered and vanished, leaving him in stunned silence. He arrived to find the Arborean guard in chaos around the body of the Elder. The atmosphere was thick with accusation as a group of guards surrounded Elder Rowan's chamber. His worst fears were realized. Elder Rowan lay dead in his chamber. A ceremonial dagger plunged into his chest, and standing beside the body was Silas, his own knife lying discarded nearby. "He was trying to tell me something about the disappearances," Silas tried to explain, but his words were lost in the uproar. The Arboreans, fueled by grief and suspicion, were quick to condemn him. He was thrown into the Grove prison, a network of interconnected cages carved into the Greatwood's roots. The prison was damp and dark, the air thick with the despair of forgotten souls. Silas knew he was innocent, but proving it was another matter entirely. He needed to escape, to unravel the conspiracy that had ensnared him, and to clear his name before the Arboreans decided to exact their vengeance. With the help of a sympathetic guard named Lyra, who doubted his guilt, Silas managed to escape from the Grove prison. She knew Silas was different, but she also sensed his honesty and his determination to uncover the truth. "The disappearances and Elder Rowan's death, they're connected," Lyra said as they fled through the twisting tunnels beneath the Greatwood. "Someone wants to destabilize Arborea to seize control." Their investigation led them to the Whispering Hollows, a secluded grove where the Arborean mystics practiced their ancient rituals. There, they discovered a hidden chamber, filled with forbidden texts and arcane artifacts. They're using the disappearances to fuel their rituals, Silas realized. They're sacrificing Arboreans to gain power from the Greatwood. The prime suspect was Councilman Thorn, a powerful and ambitious Arborean who had long coveted Elder Rowan's position. Thorn was known for his ruthless pragmatism and his willingness to bend the rules to achieve his goals. But proving his involvement was a challenge. Silas and Lyra infiltrated Thorn's estate, a lavish dwelling carved into the highest branches of the Greatwood. The victims were drained of their life force, their bodies withered and lifeless. "He's using them to create a potion, an elixir that will grant him immortality," Lyra gasped, horrified by what she saw. As they gathered evidence, Silas and Lyra were discovered by Thorn's guards. A fierce battle ensued, with Silas using his wits and his knowledge of the Greatwood to evade his pursuers. Lyra, armed with her trusty bow and arrow, provided cover, taking down several guards with well-aimed shots. They managed to escape Thorn's estate, but they knew they were running out of time. Silas and Lyra rallied the Arboreans who still trusted them, including the mystics who had sensed the growing darkness within the Greatwood. They prepared to confront Thorn at the Heartwood, the central chamber of the Greatwood, where the final ritual was to take place. The Heartwood was a breathtaking space, a cathedral of living wood. Sunlight streamed through the canopy above, illuminating the ancient carvings that adorned the walls. Thorn stood at the center of the chamber, surrounded by his loyal followers. You cannot stop me, Thorn declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. I will become one with the Great Wood, and I will rule Arborea for eternity. Silas stepped forward, his eyes fixed on Thorn. You are not worthy of the Great Wood, he said. You are a parasite feeding off its life force, and I will not let you destroy it. A fierce battle erupted. Silas, Lyra, and their allies fought bravely against Thorn's forces. The mystics channeled the Great Wood's energy, creating protective barriers and unleashing blasts of natural power. Thorn, fueled by his potion, was a formidable opponent. He wielded his power with deadly precision, unleashing bolts of dark energy that threatened to tear the Heartwood apart. But Silas, with his experience and his determination, managed to evade Thorn's attacks and close the distance. This ends now, Silas said, as he confronted Thorn face to face. He lunged forward, disarming Thorn and seizing the ceremonial dagger that had been used to kill Elder Rowan. He hesitated for a moment, tempted to exact his own revenge. It would only perpetuate the cycle of violence. Instead, Silas used the dagger to sever the connection between Thorn and the Great Wood. The dark energy that had been flowing through Thorn dissipated, leaving him weakened and vulnerable. You have failed, Silas said. The Great Wood will not be yours. Thorn, defeated and disgraced, was taken into custody by the Arboreans. The remaining Arboreans, who had been swayed by Thorn's promises, were filled with remorse. They realized the error of their ways and pledged to restore Arborea to its former glory. The Arboreans, grateful for his help, offered him a place among them. But Silas knew that his destiny lay elsewhere. He was a detective, a seeker of truth, and he could not stay in Arborea forever. He bid farewell to Lyra, promising to return someday. He then set off on a new journey, leaving behind the city and the trees. He knew that he would always carry the memory of Arborea with him, a reminder of the power of hope, the importance of justice, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. As Silas descended from the Great Wood, he felt a profound sense of peace. He had saved Arborea, cleared his name, and reaffirmed his belief in the power of good. But as Silas began his journey home, he heard Ilara's voice again. This time it was strong, clear, and very much alive. I'm glad you saved us, Silas, the young woman said. But the darkness is coming. Be warned. It will try and use you. Silas looked up, the sun shining on his face, but the words chilled him. He knew, as he walked onward, that his adventures were only just beginning. He could feel the evil lurking, feel the darkness begin to stir.